Thursday, May 29th. Welcome to Ciderhaus.
Welcome into Thursday edition of Ciderhaus. As always, I am joined by the legendary, the local, the greatest YouTuber ever to live, John Ward.
Ever
of all time.
All of that is true.
World champions check in. All right. Well, we were out on the streets of downtown State College, Penn State University, right outside of Studio Center on College Ave. The topic was marriage. Not many people are getting married these days, and if they are, they're getting divorced. So we set out to figure out why. What are these college-age students thinking about a variety of topics that surround marriage, age, prenups, deal breakers around marriage? I think we got some good answers. Let's roll the clips.
Kunj, what is the number one deal breaker in marriage for you?
Like if we don't have the same values, like I want to be with someone who I can like actually converse with and we actually share the same ideals. Like if we don't, then I feel like there's just like a lot of like places where we would like get into arguments. So as long as we connect with the same values.
Let's say you make a ton of money, or she makes a ton of money coming into it and says prenup is on the table. How do you feel about a prenup?
Oh, I'm fine with that. As long as we can like there's a justifiable reason, I think it's fine. I don't see like any issue about it.
I would say it's like the lack of respect. Like, I should respect you enough to care about you, understand that we're all flawed human beings, respect you enough to like communicate our problems. And I feel like if you respect somebody, it automatically makes you want to do things and make it work no matter what. So, lack of respect.
I think if they're just generally not a good person, I need someone who's kind to me, someone who's kind to my friends. If they like are good to me but bad to other people, that's not their true self. I need someone who's all around.
Yeah, that'd be a red flag for sure. Let's say they come at you and they say, I made a lot of money in my career. I want you to sign a prenup before we make this official. What would your answer be?
I get it. I understand. I think I would be paranoid too. But at the end of the day, it is going to make me think, and I'd probably overthink and be worried. So I feel like there's pros and cons. I don't know.
All right, John, we're going to start out first with deal breakers, because I feel like that's a big piece. I feel like maybe nowadays people are setting their deal breakers like too wide. Like it feels like everybody, or I don't know, is maybe just people just aren't living up.
Like they have too many
like too
deal
many.
breakers?
It's just like they make it so big that it's like nothing really works.
Yes, as an old gray-haired man, I will say there is definitely some truth to what the even older grayer-haired men once told me, which is you grow together with your partner. You're not going to find some perfect person as they exist. If they were perfect and beautiful, they wouldn't be dating you. Or me, or any of us.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to single you out there.
John was coming for me.
No, I mean, like, it's just, and we ourselves as men are not perfect either, and I'm a lot different at close to 40 than I was 20 years ago. I'm, different person in a lot of ways, and so you're with somebody over that amount of time, you're not always dating the same person. It's like that old saying, you can't step in the same river twice.
I've never even heard that.
You can't bang the same wife twice.
Yeah.
Because the water flows, the wife, that sounds horrible, and it's not the same wife the next day. And I'm not the same, I wouldn't be the same husband. So
You're right. I don't think people are willing to grow with someone.
Being said, I do think that out of desperation, that you can speak to this more than I can, but your dating world seems to be such a nightmare for people in their early 20s. You should not be, the term we used when I was your age was boyfriend chameleon. You ever heard that term?
Oh, yeah, big time.
The old desperate dude who will just be something, pretend to be something he's not, change his colors just to get a girlfriend. That never works out in the long run because you're trapped in this nightmare of not being yourself.
I think we all know someone that does that, like to a very high level, and they just crave to have a girlfriend. But I think a lot of times, everybody, but men especially, will do that on a lower level, and that's why they start to find so much not happiness down the road in their marriage, because it's like, yeah, I started out doing this and this with her, but I didn't really like to do it, and she just assumed that you like to do it because you did it with her to start, and then you just started to slowly start to hate yourself and the relationship more, and then it all kind of blows up.
Maybe that's the fundamental deal breaker then. It's, in a sense, it's honesty, but not just with your partner, but is your partner honest about themselves? Like, if you have an extremely overweight wife, this is the one that makes everyone mad, would she say she was overweight?
That's a good question. And I think, well, that's also one of those things that maybe happens later on. You know, they start to put on a little weight, a little happy weight, they say.
And so will we. You know what I mean?
Everybody does. I mean,
But that's the question. Like, if my wife or girlfriend looked at me and was like, "Hey, buddy, you're getting kind of fat," and I was, if it was true, would I be honest with myself, or would I live in denial? And I think relationships will work, in my experience, if you're honest with each other, but also honest about yourselves. Like for me, smoking cigarettes, I want to quit. I am honest about that. I try to quit, but if my partner was like, "Do you have a problem?" and I was like, "No," we'd probably break up. You know what I mean? Because she'd be like, "You're lying to yourself."
Well, to go a little bit deeper, I think sometimes, number one, in my generation, social media is a big problem because everybody wants to portray something that they're not, and that's almost it's almost eking into real life at this point.
Well said, actually.
And so then you start, and then on top of that, people have fucking problems that they themselves haven't even brought out. I'm not at all the thought that everybody needs a therapist, but sometimes it's good to have someone to talk to, your friends, and sometimes people don't have those conversations and aren't able to open up. And so, yeah, I think sometimes that can be hard when you don't even know yourself.
Yeah, that's what. It's back to your point of deal breakers and things like that. But you're not perfect yourself, and your partner, especially if you meet in your teens or your early 20s, is not going to be perfect. So like that, it's more the deal breaker really ought to be is the person willing to work on themselves and then also work with you.
John, we're talking about deal breakers. It's a big topic nowadays. See, Bill Belichick, head coach of one of the greatest head coaches of all time in the NFL, now the head coach at UNC. His girlfriend, I believe, is 24. He's like 76 around
Become
there.
an accidental psychological case study, Bill Belichick.
He has been, from the greatest coach ever to just a complete downfall. It's kind of sad, but what is your thoughts?
Think? Oh, I mean, I was about to launch into my thought because I think I take umbrage with the way you just framed that. A biggest downfall.
Well, there's a whole other piece of that where she's trying to just kind of wedge herself in.
As a somewhat old curmudgeon myself, I think I get where Bill Belichick is coming from. And I don't think Bill, talk about being honest with yourself, if you went to Bill Belichick and would be like, "Hey, is your relationship weird?" He'd be like, Yeah, it is. He'd be like, "But if you were me, you're telling me you wouldn't do this?" And you'd be like, "All right, I see your point."
Yeah, he's done all the greatest
I think what it is the average human being, or average American at least, talking about social media and putting up fake fronts and presenting yourself in the best possible fake way. There are guys, and I think this used to be the norm. It's changed with my generation and definitely with yours, but they used to just not care what other people thought. They just genuinely, not like the whole, "I don't give a fuck," and like this big emotional reaction. Whatever Bill Belichick has gone through in his life has led him to this point of just not caring anymore. I think he just stopped caring.
Yeah, because he's an older guy. He's done everything.
So, like, I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of him or his girlfriend's or wife's content or whatever, but does he, like, defend? Does he get up on TV and, like, defend himself, or does he just sort of, like, not care?
He doesn't care.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Doesn't give a shit. He's let's just call it what it is. He's banging a hot 24-year-old, and he's pretty fucking happy about
There's
it.
different ways to look at this. Like, if that was my daughter, would be a good question. How would I feel about it?
Well,
and I'd be like, honestly, these days, like, assuming she's going to be set for life financially.
She has accrued it. This has kind of been proven that like over $8 million worth
It's
of
like
property.
she's not dating Bill Belichick in a vacuum. It's the question is, who would she be dating if she wasn't dating Bill Belichick? And I'm like, I don't know that it'd be a lot better.
Specifically hers, she has been known to date. She was dating another like 60-ish-year-old man when she was like 20.
Yeah, well, at that point, I mean, just like romantic relationships, father-daughter relationships need honesty and communication. I'd probably be like, "Hey, are you just gold digging for money so you can go have fun for the rest of your life?" And she'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "All right, have at it." I mean, not what I would have chose for you, but
yeah,
you're being honest with yourself.
Well, John, I think this segues into it. Yeah, well,
gotten really cynical, man. Sorry.
It's all right. I think you're right, though. I mean, if you are what you are at that point, but we're right on the.
If she was like, "No, I love him and he's a beautiful person," I'd be like, "You're a whore. Get away from me.
Yeah,
you're lying."
Stop lying. Yeah, stop fucking lying. Well, all right, let's say they go and get married. You think that it would be completely right for him to offer up a prenup in that situation?
Ooh. Yeah. Does he have like kids and stuff? Like, is there somebody else that should,
Yes.
that should get his money?
He does. He has his son is on the coaching staff. I think he has 2 sons at least.
Okay,
2
so then
sons, yeah.
absolutely yes.
Okay.
If I were him, yeah.
I agree. All right, so let's flip this. Obviously,
This is a tough topic, though.
in that scenario, I think yes, prenup is obvious. But let's talk about just nowadays. Let's say you're in your 20s and you're getting married. Are you asking your partner for a prenup? And
kind of assuming like one of us is making all the money. And
yeah, I would say let's just say you're the man, you're making all the money, and I think for me, there's different levels of this. Of like, if we started together and we built this together, I'm inclined probably not to make you sign a prenup just because you were there from the beginning. Now, if we meet and I'm already making $500,000 a year,
good point.
That's a lot harder for me not to sign that prenup and throw that in front of your face.
I mean, I think, yeah, like if you are both of the same socioeconomic status, there doesn't really seem to be much a point in it unless you're pretty convinced you're going to become a pro athlete or something like that. Then absolutely yes.
A lot of them
well, you have such a crazy insight into that, but it's like you had this experience going through college where women would pursue you purely trying to marry a rich dude. Like they didn't care about you as a person.
No, absolutely not. And that's something, you have to kind of weed that out. That's why it's nice to kind of build.
So you have a good radar for that, whatever that term is the gold digging radar. But like the average guy does not have that happen to him at your age where, it's a really tricky question, the prenup, because you like to think if you're genuinely in love with somebody and you've correctly gauged that, you definitely won't ever need it.
That's the hardest
if your
part.
Judgment was correct, you won't ever need it. And
but then you see women in their 50 and they're like, that's not who I married.
As you get older, we were just talking about that. I think that's like this pattern that's been proven by not just our lifetimes, but any book you read, fact or fiction, Romeo and Juliet, whatever. You can go back to Shakespeare. People change. It's certainly the safe move. If you have money and you're worried about some gold digger, get a prenup, of course, then that becomes offensive to the woman.
I think that's the hardest part. It's like you don't believe that we're going to be together forever. And it's
you could very easily throw right back at them. Well, what? You're saying you don't trust me? Oh. Like just because we have a prenup doesn't mean I won't give you all the money you ever want.
A little gaslight there.
Yeah, you fucking trying to pull some shit on me? Like, what's the big deal? It's equally as meaningless to have it as to not have it if we trust each other.
That's a good point. I'm with you there. All right.
I might have had this conversation.
Sounds like a little John Ward gaslight situation.
How was that gaslighting, though?
Well, it was a slight gaslight. That's all right.
Well, if her argument is we don't need a prenup because we're genuinely love and we trust each other and it will never become an issue, then saying having it will never become an issue either then.
There you go. All right.
Dang, glad we're in agreement, honey.
There you go. Sign it right here now. Okay.
Aren't we such a great couple?
Well, kind of along the lines of prenup. What is interesting to me is, and I think.
Wait, real quick. What if you were marrying a really rich girl and she wanted you to sign a prenup?
Hell yeah, I'd sign it.
I would too.
Right away. Yeah, I would just.
I see
that's
do it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like men are hypocrites. Like if I was, some billionaire woman and was like, hey, I really want to get married. I love you. I trust you, but I have so much fucking money. Like, will you just sign a guy? I would use my own logic. I guess I'd be like, yeah, that's fucking fine.
Yeah, I think
I don't care.
Not to say women don't make a ton of money, but I think the realistic outcome is like the dad's super rich and he's like, yo, I want him to sign a prenup. He says that to the daughter and the daughter goes, is like, my dad wants to sign a prenup because I'm going to get a lot of money, et cetera. And, I would be fine with that. If they're like, I have a ton of money and you weren't a part of me making that either, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll sign it. That's all right. I wasn't,
I don't think it would bother me.
Yeah, I wouldn't at all. So that brings me to divorce rates. I did a little bit of research on this right before. I mean, we're well into like the 55% divorce rate
wild.
in America.
That's insane.
So more than, 1 in every 2 marriages more is getting divorced. And it's only been getting worse. It's going up. I am a child of divorce. And sometimes I think a lot of kids say they're glad it happened. I am probably glad as well that it happened. It was good. It happened when I was young, when I was like 5. But, for you, like, no one wants to get divorced going in. Obviously, you don't ever have that thought going into a marriage.
I wouldn't think
but
so.
are is that something that you would do? Or are you of the ilk that it's like no matter what, we're gonna figure out a way to not be divorced and put our
Yeah, I
kids through
think
that?
my way of approaching this has just been I will not get married until I feel confident that there's no chance of that. And I am as of yet not married.
That's all right. You don't have to be.
Oh, it's like it's all thinking ahead, and I don't know, not to be sexist or accidentally sexist, but I think men think this way more than women do too, which is just like you don't rush into a marriage and then try to make it work. You spend a little time before getting married to make sure you are as sure as you can be that it will work.
Yeah.
Like, I think divorce rates would go way down if people would follow those principles of being honest with each other and honest about themselves.
I agree. I think
A lot of people get, yeah, no, I'm sorry, but like a lot of people get married out of like need or desperation, or like women need financial support or blah, blah. So like
Yeah,
you're not really marrying for love. And so then they end up getting divorced when the needs change.
Well, I think a lot of people too, they get to those late 20s and there's this pressure of like you're supposed to be married by, 26 and you're not. And then you're like, you kind of find a guy or a girl and it's like, this is good enough.
Well, that's one of the things that works out in the favor of men is you have yet to learn this. You got 8 or 9 years to go, but you hit around 30, that's when women start talking to you.
Oh, yeah, they get,
Oh,
a
my
little
God.
desperate there, John.
Every woman from 20 to 50 years old that's single, and a lot that aren't, will start talking to you, right?
A lot that are.
There's just like something, that's just sort of the peak, like 30 to 40 is probably peak male attractiveness, is best I'm able to tell from talking to women.
That's an interesting
Because they're
thought.
still young enough to be fit, but they're old enough to have established themselves and have some status, some leadership positions, and some money and shit like that.
This is true. All right, a little bit of a rant here from me. I think part of the reason we have divorce rates, social media. I think people don't. I'm not saying you need to be religious, but also just the downward trend of just people not going to church. Let's be honest.
That's been big. Yeah, real quick. Like when I was a kid, if you got divorced, you became like a social outcast.
Yeah, it was super taboo.
Yeah.
Super taboo.
Very
to be-
taboo.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You couldn't do that. So yeah, for me, and then also just kind of the rise in feminism of, I'm not against the definition of feminism. I'm totally with that. But I think what it has become is I don't need a man instead of just like 50-50.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it started. And there's a lot of, and we've seen it, just male hate. And so that kind of drives a wedge, and people, not only are the divorce rates so high, but people just aren't getting married now. And honestly, in my day-to-day life, I come across more and more people that just say, yeah, I'm never going to get married. Like, I'm not going to.
Well, that's what, would you say those are more men than women?
Yes.
Yeah. So don't you think that kind of is what I was saying is the men will do the analysis before making the mistake. And what their analysis has been is, I ain't getting married. Like that's what the conclusion they came to. And so there's a lot less people getting married, period. I think that's male driven.
Well, yeah.
I think the increase in divorce is female driven.
Oh, that's an interesting thought there.
So the lack of marriages is driven by men, but the breaking up of existing marriages is driven by women.
Oh, yeah, I'd say I don't know the stats, but I'd say probably 75% of the divorce are brought by the women because men are comfortable. They don't want to leave like that coming home.
Well, you talk
to a
about
meal
system. The system is biased against somebody, whether it's race or gender. Well, there's a very provable systemic bias against men in divorce courts and family court. It is so. This has changed a little bit, but like it is so set up for women to get everything. Like a woman can cheat on her husband. It's entirely her fault. He can want to stay together and work on the marriage, and she still will get awarded half his stuff and probably custody of any children.
If you're getting divorced in California, good fucking luck.
Like your wife can do everything wrong and you can do everything right, and you have to give her your house and keep fucking paying for it and not get to see your kids while she bangs some other dude in the house that
you
have
paid for.
that you're still fucking paying for.
You're paying for her to get fucked.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. That's the way the system is set up right now. It's BS. Yeah, I mean, it's, and I'm not like, this hasn't happened to me. I'm not like bitter or anything, but
Couple
like,
kids over
I
there,
could
John?
objectively look at that situation and be like, so I think that's what men look at that and they go, well, I'll just not get married. Simple.
Even
Yeah.
men at the top, Tom Brady, Jeff Bezos, you can never.
Tom Brady got cheated on, man. Where's the hope?
There is none.
That dude is apparently a supermodel combined with a star athlete combined with the greatest champion ever.
There you go. I don't think, honestly, I think everybody can get cheated on. The best looking people, whoever. It's always for both sides, men and women. It's always the want of what you can't have. Have you ever noticed that when you get in a relationship, more and more people automatically hit you up?
Grass is always greener. It's an old saying.
Absolutely, and that's what you always think, and it generally never is. So, curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Please comment below your thoughts on marriage. Why is it going so south in America as far as just divorce rates, lack of marriage?
Yeah, divorce rates, and how do you feel about prenups?
Yeah. What's the biggest age gap, too? I'd love to hear that one below. Biggest age gap that you would marry. But we appreciate you guys tuning into this Thursday edition of Ciderhaus. Please like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.